Welcome back. In this video, I will explain how to go about designing a business impact analysis questionnaire. We all know that a business impact analysis survey, a BIA survey, is important because it helps us to identify and prioritize the recovery for various business processes in case of disaster. A prerequisite before one commences a BIA survey is the earlier mentioned process mapping. By conducting a process mapping, we identify the various business processes in the organizations and the business owners responsible for those processes. Having identified the process owners and the processes, we approach each of the business process owner and ask them to fill up this BIA survey. What does the BIA survey contain? We start with the first thing that we would like the business process owner to tell us is about the process itself. So I have the process and its description. The next two things that are important are the inflows and the outflows. The inflows could also be called the contributors, and the outflows are also called as recipients. So by identifying the inflows and the outflows, we get a business process value chain. Common to these two, we need the following information. We need as to whether these processes are internal or external, what is the format in which our business process receives and delivers the outputs. So we need the format. And what is the time to impact if the process was not available. Once we have this following information, the next what we need is what is the peak time during which this business process is most active? Is there any such peak time? Is there a particular month in the year? So for an accounting department, it could be the financial year end. For an HR department, it could be the period of appraisals. In case if it is average throughout a year, then what is it across maybe a quarter, a week, or a particular day of the week in which this process is important. The third thing we know is what is the infrastructure that enables this process to run. This would be any IT application that it uses, any form of connectivity that the process needs, any vendors that the business process relies on. So far, we are gathering information on the process itself. The next thing that we need to gather is what is the impact on the process in case of disaster. So this step was all got to do with pre-disaster. Now we need to know what is during a disaster. Impact could be two kinds: operational impact and financial impact. What is operational impact? Operational impact could be brand, customer satisfaction, it could be employee morale. Financial impact could be lost sales, It could be a smaller loss, but which is the lost interest on delayed revenue in case if there were no lost sales. And it could also be penalties. Penalties could either be penalties for not payment the contractors or contractual penalties, and it could also be legal penalties if there are any regulatory requirements that the business process is supposed to adhere to. So in this phase, we identify as to what would be the impact. The third part of the BIA is after a disaster, what would be the recovery possibility. So first we need to know is whether is there any plan in place, and if so, when was it last tested and what were the results? Are there any workarounds in the disaster that we could rely on? Have they been documented? Have they been tested? Have people been trained on them? And if so, what was the efficiency of the workarounds? And how long would the business last on the work based on the workarounds? What are the people who are working right now on the business process? And in case of a disaster, in case of a survival mode of operation, how many people do I actually need? Are there any particular people that I need? The third would be the IT infrastructure. What kind of IT infrastructure would I need in case of a disaster to recover the business process? And what kind of non-IT infrastructure would I need to recover the business process? This was a broad overview of what a BI questionnaire should address. Some of the details that the BI questionnaire should also address is the impact would be over a range of days. It could be what is the impact over next 24 hours, 72 hours, 1 week, 4 weeks. That would be both for the operational impact and the financial impact. In case of financial impact, you would have the dollar value. In case of operational impact, it is the intangible value. So it could be high, medium, low, or on a scale of 1 to 5, one could rate it. The same logic also holds good for the recovery requirements as to over a range of few days, how many people do I need? What is the equipment that I need in the first 24 hours, in the next 72 hours, in the first 1 week? So what we have is the business process owner going through this questionnaire and filling up all the information related to the process. Typically, it takes around 2 to 3 iterations for a business process impact analysis to be completed. Though the business process owner has been explained, he has the questionnaire and he also has a sample template of answers. He would still need some help to fill in the gaps which he may not be aware of. Typically, the gaps would be as to what are the IT applications and the connectivity that the person needs. Since we're talking of an end user, IT knowledge may be something that we would need to get from the IT department. Same thing applies for the impact. Maybe the end user may not be aware of the financial impact. In this case, we would have to go to the financing department and get those values from there.